David a covenant for a kingdom to time indefinite in David's line. 2 7. 4-17. 1 ch 17. 3-15. Nathan was later sent by Jehovah to point out both the magnitude of David's sin against Uriah the Hittite respecting Bathsheba and the divine penalty imposed because of it. This he did tactfully but forcefully, using an illustration. David was thereby maneuvered into expressing, unwittingly and without personal prejudice, his own judgment on such an act. Nathan then informed him, "You yourself are the man," and expressed Jehovah's judgment upon David and his house. 2 12. 1-18. See also PS 51. Sup. In time a second son, named Solomon, was born to David by Bathsheba. This child Jehovah loved. So he sent his prophet Nathan, who, for the sake of Jehovah, named the boy Jedidiah, meaning beloved of Jah. 2 12. 24, 25. During the closing days of David's life when Adonijah attempted to seize the throne, Nathan took appropriate measures to bring the matter to David's attention. Nathan then shared in the anointing and installing of Solomon as king. 1 Chi 1. 5-40. It appears that Nathan, together with Gad, advised David on the proper deployment of musical instruments in connection with the sanctuary. 2 ch 29. 25. Nathan and Gad were evidently the ones used to record the information contained in the concluding chapters of 1 Samuel and all of 2 Samuel. 1 ch 29. 29. Among the words of Nathan the prophet were also recorded the affairs of Solomon. 2 ch 9. 29. This Nathan may have been the father of Azariah and Zabud, both of whom held important positions during the reign of Solomon. Azariah was a princely otextoi acute muritra longo, Nathanael 472, 5. One of the 9 head ones of the exiles encamped at the river Ahava, whom Ezra sent to enlist ministers for the services at the house of God in Jerusalem. Ezra 15-17. 6. A former exile in Babylon, and one of the 13 sons of Binwi who put away their foreign wives in compliance with Ezra's instructions. Ez 10. 10, 11, 38-42, 44. Nathanael na middle dot then a middle dot el from Heb. Meaning God has given. Presumably the name of Bartholomew, hence one of Jesus' 12 apostles. Bartholomew, meaning son of Domai, was a patronymic term, that is, a designation derived from his father. The apostle John uses his given name Nathanael, whereas Matthew, Mark, and Luke call him Bartholomew. When doing so they associate Philip and Bartholomew together, in the same way that John links Philip with Nathanael. Mount 10. 3. Mr. 3. 18. Lu 6. 14. Joe 1. 45, 46. It was not uncommon for persons to be known by more than one name. For example, Simon the son of John also came to be known as Cephas and Peter. Joe 1. 42. Nor was it exceptional for Nathanael to be called Bartholomew, or the son of Domai, as another man was called simply Bartimaeus, or son of Timaeus. Mr. 10. 46. The two names, Nathanael and Bartholomew, are used interchangeably by Christian writers of following centuries. Nathanael was from Cana of Galilee. Joe 21. 2. He began following Jesus early in the Master's ministry. Philip, after responding to Jesus' call, "Be my follower," immediately looked up his friend Nathanael and invited him to come and see the Messiah. Nathanael asked, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" But then responded to the invitation. Jesus, seeing him approach, remarked, "See, an Israelite for a certainty, in whom there is no deceit." Nathanael must have been an exceptional man for Jesus to make a statement like that. Because Jesus said this and stated that he saw Nathanael under a fig tree before Philip called him, Nathanael confessed that Jesus was indeed the Son of God. King of Israel. Jesus assured him that he would see things greater than these. Joe 1. 43-51. As one of the 12, Nathanael was in constant attendance throughout Jesus' ministry, being trained for future service. Mount 11. 1. 19. 25-28. 20. 17-19, 24-28. Mr. 4. 10. 11. 11. Joe 6. 48-67. After Jesus' death and resurrection, Nathanael and others of the apostles went back to their fishing, and it was while they were approaching shore in their boat one morning that Jesus called to them. Nathanael, unlike Peter, stayed in the boat until it got to shore, and then, joining the rest for breakfast, he took in the meaningful conversation between Jesus and Peter. Joe 21. 1-23. He was also present with the other apostles when they met together for prayer and on the day of Pentecost. Act 1. 13, 14. 2. 42. Nathan Melech the king has given. A court official of Judah whose dining room was situated in the porticos of the temple. While taking steps against false worship, King Josiah made the horses that Judean kings had given to the sun cease from entering the house of Jehovah by the dining room of Nathan-Melech. 2 Kai 23. 11. Nations. In the broad and general sense, a nation is made up of people who are more or less related to one another by blood and who have a common language. Such a national group usually occupies a defined geographic territory and is subject to some form of central governmental control. According to the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament, Hebrew evidences a tendency for God to describe a people in terms of its political and territorial affiliation, and so to approximate much more closely to our modern term nation. And people, conversely, always retains a strong emphasis on the element of consanguinity as the basis of union into a people. Edited by G. J. Butterwick and H. Ringgren, Volume 2, 1975, p. 427. The Greek terms ethnos nation and lamidal.os people are used similarly. In O textoi acute miritra longo, nations 473 in Genesis, chapter 10, therefore might be termed the oldest tabulation of nations, 70 in number. 14 were Japhetic, 30 Hamitic, and 26 Shemitic in origin. GE 10. 1-8, 13-32. 1ch1. 4-25. For more information regarding these national groups, see Chart, Volume 1, p. 329, as well as articles on each of the 70 descendants of Noah. Many changes, of course, came with the passing of time. Some nations were absorbed by their neighbors or disappeared altogether, because of weakness, disease, or war. Others came into existence through new migrations and population increases. The spirit of nationalism at times became very strong among certain groups, and this, coupled with great military exploits, gave ambitious men the necessary thrust to build world empires at the expense of weaker nations. A father of nations. God told Abram to leave Ur and move to a land he would show him, for as he said, I shall make a great nation out of you. GE 12. 1-4. Later, God enlarged on his promise, saying, You will certainly become a father of a crowd of nations. And I will make you very, very fruitful and will make you become nations, and kings will come out of you. GE 17. 1-6. This promise was fulfilled. Abraham's son Ishmael fathered 12 chieftains according to their clans. GE 25. 13-16. 17. 20. 21. 13, 18, and through the 6 sons of Keturah, other nations traced their ancestry back to Abraham. GE 25. 1-4. 1ch1. 28-33. Row 4. 16-18. From Abraham's son Isaac sprang the Israelites and Edomites. GE 25. 21-26. In a much larger, spiritual sense, Abraham became a father of many nations, for persons of many national groups, including those of the Christian congregation in Rome, by reason of their faith and obedience could call Abraham their father, the father of all those having faith. Row 4. 11, 16-18. See Israel No. 2. How God views the nations. As the Creator and universal sovereign, God is within his absolute rights in setting the nation's territorial boundaries if he chooses to do so, as he did with Ammon, Edom, and Israel. The 2. 17-22. 32. 8. 2ch20. 6, 7. Act 17. 26. The Most High and Lofty One over all the earth is not to be compared in greatness with nations of mankind. Ch 10. 6, 7. Actually the nations are as but a drop from the bucket in his sight. Issa 40. 15, 17. So when such nations rage and mutter against Jehovah, as when they put Jesus to death on a torture stake, he only laughs at them in derision and confounds and destroys their presumptuous counsel against him. PS2. 1, 2, 4, 5. 33. 10. 59. 8. Darfur. 32b, 34, 35. Act 4. 24-28. Yet for all of Jehovah's superlative greatness and power, no one can rightly charge him with being unjust in his treatment of national groups. It makes no difference whether God is dealing with a single man or a whole nation, he never compromises his righteous principles. Job 34. 29. If a nation is repentant, as were the people of Nineveh, he blesses them. John 3. 5-10. But if they turn to doing bad, even though in a covenant with him, he destroys them. J 18. 7-10. When an issue arises, Jehovah sends his prophets with a message of warning. J 1. 5, 10. As 2. 3. 33. 7. God is not partial toward any, great or small. A 10. 17. 2ch 19. 7. Act 10. 34, 35. Therefore, when whole nations refuse to recognize and obey Jehovah,